another day for the rest of the world. But for me,
Hi everyone, I'm your host, Ella Glasgow, director and head voice coach at Sing Out Loud Studios, where I specialize in vocal performance. So, if you're looking for voice lessons, singing lessons, or performance lessons, Sing Out Loud Studios is the place to do it. You can find out more about the studio on the website at www.singoutloudstudios.com. Go ahead, check it out, and send me an info request if you'd like. But welcome to Undercover Vocalist, the interviews, views. It's not the best title, but it's the one we've got at the moment, and I think it conveys the theme of this series. That is, to bring some light to people in entertainment who you may not have necessarily heard of, but they're making a good living somewhere on the performance side of the entertainment and music biz. Our secondary goal is to provide some much-needed information and musical encouragement of sorts for young people, parents, or anyone really looking to get into the business.
to waste a single moment, touch or taste. Tonight I have you all to myself. And when I get with you, there's at least a million things that we gon' do. 24 hours of you, a whole day.
Yes, how do you like that groovin' music? That's my friend Michael Inge. He's who I've got with me today. We're going to talk about some music stuff that I know will make you feel ready to get out there and do this music thing. We discuss one of my favorite and least favorite topics, and one that I think baffles quite a few people. It's a big, scary word called networking. What is it really, and how do we do it? We'll talk about all that and so much more. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Today I've got with me Michael Inge. He is one of my good friends, and he is an awesome singer and performer doing it up there in New York. How you doing, Michael?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
I am looking forward to hearing everything that you've got to say to us and to our listeners today. But before we get into all of that, can you give everybody just a little bit of a background of who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure. Well, I wear a few different hats when it comes to the world of music. I am an artist first and foremost, and as an artist I sing mostly soul R&B, and I write my own music and perform as an artist. Then I also work as a session singer where I sing on all kinds of projects for other folks. And then I also have had cuts and placements as strictly as a songwriter alone. And then on top of that, in addition to that, I also do some vocal coaching and mentoring, working with other singers and artists. So a combination of all those things.
That's really cool. You have found a way to make work and make everything to come together as a musician, as a working musician specifically. When you started though, how did you even get your start in music?
Well, I knew that I really enjoyed music, and I knew I had some talent for it, probably around middle school, high school, but I didn't
I'm
really
going to interject.
know.
Can I please interject? Some talent.
Go for it.
He's got a lot of talent, everybody, and you can hear him on his website, michaelinge.com. I'll say it again later, but I just had to interject. Please continue on.
The reason I said it like that was because at the time I had no idea, and that's what's kind of funny. It's like the more I talk to more and more singer friends, some folks just know straight out the gate. You know, you have some singers that are like, before I could talk, I was singing, Aretha.
Right.
And some people are like later bloomers. And it's like, and especially if you were, it's hard to believe, but I was a shyer, quieter child. And
when was this?
I don't know. I think around puberty, once, everything kicked in, it's like I decided to start talking and make up for all those years I had been quiet, and I haven't caught up yet. It's crazy. But I knew I loved music, and I wanted to sing, and I wanted to be a great singer, but I hadn't developed yet. And so I definitely see that in my background, that I knew I had some talent, and I was really hungry for it. And so, any chance that I got, I really kind of soaked it up. And anything that I could learn about singing and performing, I really took that in. And for me, it was the last year. I grew up in Virginia, kind of in the country, in a small town. And the last year of high school was the first year that they reintroduced a vocal department in the high school. So there had not been a choir or chorus for quite a while. So it was perfect timing that we had a choir, and I had a great, incredible teacher. And she was just really inspiring and really kind of helped me kind of find my way. And I didn't even know that you could study music in college. I didn't even know that as an option. Because if you don't have anybody in your family that's really a musician, or, I have my family, they really appreciate music, but they weren't working musicians or really involved in that world. So, I found out that I could study music, and I wanted to give it a go, and so then I did. I ended up going to school, and then I ended up, all in all, I finished in Nashville at Belmont University. And it was
way,
a great school.
University. We both graduated from there.
Yes, and that's how we found each other and ended up meeting and becoming good friends and working together. And I think, from there, Nashville is such a great town, incredible place for music. That in combination with being in the school, I started to meet people. And, I think probably it started out just even from school, working on projects. We had a studio there on the campus, and singing on different people's recitals or showcases, backup or singing as a guest artist for maybe instrumentalists. You get to know more and more people. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention, if you were talking about some things that really are important in starting out and having a career, is your network of people, and meeting
that is
people.
So true. Can I tell you a quick story about when I first got to Belmont? I think I was just saying this to somebody the other day. Networking, my networking abilities. I didn't realize that I had networking abilities until somebody actually asked me recently. Sad to say. I just do it. I just naturally network with people. But my first day at Belmont in Traditions, we hadn't even started school yet. It was that evening. I was running around putting my band together. And some of my friends have told me since then, they're like, I remember when I first met you. You were like, you want to be in my band? What do you play? Violin? Awesome. Okay, you can be in my band.
That's great. That's funny. That's great.
Networking 101. Just don't be afraid to say hey to people.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's like, I notice that here, like even now in New York, you'll go and you see a show or you meet somebody. You see somebody. It's not, especially if you're not, quote unquote, a people person, or you're not comfortable going up to people, it can be really difficult to kind of push yourself to do that. But if you put yourself on the other side of it, like, I'm a singer or I'm a keyboard player or whatever, if I just played a show and somebody came up to me and said, hey, you were great, I really loved your playing, you were really great, or your singing or whatnot, I may need a, singer, keyboard player, drummer, or whatever. Could I have your contact info, or is there a way I could, connect with you? Or do you have a card, whatever? That's flattering. There's no reason you shouldn't feel like you couldn't say that. It's not too much. You don't maybe you don't necessarily get their phone number, but an email, something that's a little less, direct, but just let them tell you what the best way is for them to, for you to reach them. But,
right.
It's not a bad thing because you could be offering them work or an opportunity,
Exactly. And I think, what,
yeah.
when it comes to networking, for me, when I was in school, because I didn't realize it was something that I did naturally, the word networking itself was something that turned me off. And when it came to just going out and doing things for networking, quote unquote, I honestly was not very good at that because I was afraid of the term. And I thought that if I went out to network, then people would just be thinking I just wanted to get something from them.
Yeah.
How do you talk about networking with your students, if that's something that you talk to them about, so that they can get over that fear of feeling like I'm just talking to this person to get something?
Yeah, that's a really important thing, and I'm right there with you. I don't like the idea of networking, or people even say schmoozing, and it sounds like such a leech, like you're trying to suck something out of somebody, you're trying to get something. And it reminds me of, the way I kind of think about it is, if you remind me, like, who are the people? These are the people in your neighborhood. It's like our hood is performing. Our hood, quote, so to speak, is who are the musicians? Who are the other singers? Who are the other people doing what we do? Maybe they're, Grammy Award winners and they're further along than us, or maybe they're total beginners and they're, not where we are, or they're right where we are. Whoever they are, they're fellow musicians and artists and creators. And so just kind of getting to know those people and kind of, we have that in common. And so just kind of knowing, who's
that's what I was
who.
going to say. It's the common thread. When it comes to networking, the way I feel now that I get over it, first of all, I don't even realize, I don't just say I'm going to go network with people, I just live my life and talk with people. But there is that common thread. If you can realize that the people that you're talking to, that you're wanting to connect with, you do have a common thread, whether you are beginning or you have been doing it for years. There's a common thread, and the common thread is music.
Yeah.
And after that, you find the things that make you have some common ground. And that first step of common ground might just be admiration of what it is that they do for the art.
Yes. Just going to a show, that, in a sense, is networking, because other folks are going to be going to that show, going out and kind of being in the middle of what's going on, whatever the scene is, whether it's a little coffee shop and it's a writer's night, or even if it's a conference or a seminar, whatever it is that may be going on that has to do with your area or music in general, that, it's an opportunity for networking, and networking is just kind of like, saying hey to folks and getting to know people and allowing people to get to know you. And I think if you don't think about what the exchange is, or don't think about you have to get something or you have to give something, but you're just getting to know folks,
Exactly. And sometimes, for instance, I just had a situation. I was at an audition that I, ended up getting for a job here recently. And in my time there, I decided to just get everybody's in numbers for the purpose of everybody being able to be connected later on. And as I got all of their names and numbers, it was a musician audition. I remembered that I actually needed some musicians for a showcase that I've got coming up in a couple of months. And so out of that, my original purpose was just to be able to connect everybody. And then I said, I've got musicians here and I need musicians. Let me see if one of these musicians is available. That's networking. I didn't go with the intent of trying to give them a job or get a job from them, but in the end, it just turned out that they were really good connections for me.
Right. Another thing that I think is that I personally try to do, that I see this as a really strong, quality in people that have a good network and that they're moving forward. And I try to be aware of opportunities that aren't necessarily for me, and I try to pass them on and share them with other people. Like if somebody sends me an email, hey, we really need a bass player for this gig, blah, 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 I'll send that out to folks that I do know, or I'll stop there. I don't just delete it because it's not for me. I sit and go, wait, do I know anybody this might be good for? And I'll shoot it to 2 or 3 folks that I think might, could use the opportunity and would be great for it. And then that creates, I've had it many times where people are like, oh my gosh, thanks so much. I just had an artist that came through town here from out of the country and needed a musician. And approached me, and I sent her like 3 different folks. And I had all 3 of those folks emailed me and said, hey, Michael, thank you so much for thinking of me. I couldn't do the gig or this or that. One of them did do the gig, and then just so that way when something comes up in that direction, hopefully they'll think of me, or it doesn't really matter. Right. It'll come back somehow. And just having a community where you're creating a friendship and relationship, and it just gives back to you. It's a give and take kind of thing.
Right. I think that's interesting, and that's key what you just said, that it's a relationship and a friendship. I had a friend of mine. I was doing some realtor stuff for a hot second, and I was at a specific networking event. I realized realtors have a lot of networking events. Networking events where there's a lot of drinks being passed of various sorts. But anyway, at this networking event, I did ask that question. I said, what is networking really? Like, what does that mean? And that's exactly what he said to me. He said it's just developing a friendship, getting to know people, really getting to know them, genuinely wanting to know them. So that doesn't mean that every person that you come across is somebody that you want in your network, because you may not necessarily want to be friends with them. And it's not to say in that same light, it's not to say that every friend that is your friend is someone that you speak to on a consistent basis every day.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, for instance, you and I, we are really great friends, but we don't get to talk to each other as often as we'd like.
Right.
We've built our friendship over the years. And when I have things, I call you and say, hey, just like you said, this person could use you on this particular thing. And you've done the same for me over the years. But when we started out, I don't think either one of us was thinking, let's be friends so that we can get work out of each other.
Right. Yeah. No, you're friends first, and then that is just like a secondary, like icing on the cake.
Right. Exactly. And the fun part of it is, especially being friends with you, I know that whenever I need a good little chuckle about the struggle,
yes,
that I can call you for a good laugh and be encouraged again to continue on this journey as a singer and whatever incarnation I decide for that particular week.
Yeah.
Because we've definitely over the years we've gone through several incarnations of ourselves, and we've thrown some really fun ideas on the wall. Not all of them have materialized.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
But I'm thinking now about older singers. And I remember there was a conversation you and I had years ago about being older singers in this business. And I think it would be a good thing to talk about right now, because I'm sure there will probably be some older singers, older performers listening that have heard the same things that we have, and that is that, you might be too old to be in the business. Once you hit 25, you're done. You need to find something else to do.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Well, and it can really be a challenge because you feel the industry that we see and kind of as we know it, as far as like top 40 or a lot of these American Idol, with the 18, whatever, 21 or however, whatever the age is for the cutoff, it makes you feel like, well, you're done by the 25. If you haven't done whatever, you're done. And, it may be a challenge to be, the next Ariana Grande or something, but there's a whole world of opportunities in the music industry other than just being on, top 40 radio. And I think it's important to really look at what it is that each singer does best, and how to create. I really think now more than ever, we all have a chance to create our own, carve out our own space, in the music industry. And, wherever you are on the age mark, whether you're 30, 40, 50, or 60, there's, going to be other people that also listen to music. I mean, I don't know that, 50 and 60-year-olds are listening to the teeny bopper pop music, maybe sometimes. But I think there's also an audience, and I think, the goal is to create your audience and figure out what it is that you do and create that kind of artistry, whether it's a live show that you're doing or if you're doing, a certain style of music, what is the outlet for that, and what do you want to do? Do you want to record a project? Do you want to do a live kind of show and play that every so often, and how do you connect with those people, is your audience people that are going to be on Facebook? Or are they going to be more on Twitter? And how do you find them? What do they like to do? What websites do they go to? Are they even online? How are you going to find them? And I think if you think of it like a business, you can kind of look at, just like any other business, how they market to who their people are. One product is going to look at completely different avenues than another.
Right. That's actually something that I've been talking with my students a lot about lately. The fact that this is called the music business, bold, underlined, italicized. And the minute that you have decided, you've said out loud or in your head that you want to be a singer or a musician or a performer, you have just declared yourself an entrepreneur. I don't know that many people have looked at it or said it in that way, but that's what you've done. And what makes the music business difficult is not necessarily the fact that there's a lot of people singing, because there's a lot of people that make burgers too. It's not about that. It's the fact that not very many musicians understand business. And I think that when you decide to realize that it is music business and business first, you will see a bigger success rate for yourself when you look at it that way, as opposed to I just sing because it's so wonderful. It just makes me feel so good. And that's great if you do it just to make yourself feel good. But if your desire and your goal is to actually make a living and pay your bills and feed your belly, then you must look at it as a business. You have to.
Right. It's such a tricky thing because it's like, there is, and especially here in New York, I see different people in different industries. For example, there'll be like a visual artist, let's say a photographer. A photographer, they're going to do work for hire, where they're hired to go and take photographs of any and everything and for a certain purpose. And so that's for that money, But when it comes to pure art, they may be taking completely different kinds of photos and of completely different things. And so it's really tricky. I think it's important, you want to create what it is that you want to create, the music, the art that you want to create, but then there's a completely different role. It's almost like if you could take one Monday, go and, record this amazing song, and then Tuesday walk in the same room and pretend you're just a business person. You're not the singer, you're not the artist, and you sit down and you go, okay, how do we get this song out there? You try to detach yourself from it and think, what business moves should you make in order to market that song, to make the money, and not think about, maybe, what you feel about the song as the singer or as the artist, but what is the best placement for that song in order to generate some income, because that's what a business person's going to think. And it's so hard to do, but I think nowadays more than ever, that's what we have to do. We are both parties. We're the business person. We are the record label. We are the promoter or whatever roles in order to make it be monetized and bring some income.
Right. Oh, my gosh. There's so many avenues that we could go down now, just that topic alone. And I wish that we had the time.
Yeah.
I might just have to call you another day and do another interview with you just on that topic alone, because there's so much meat in that, because I think, honestly, that's the thing that people are missing. I had some conversations with some friends of mine that graduated from the school that you and I both graduated from, Belmont University, and got some interesting information about those that we know from our school, that people know, like who are famous from our school, about where they actually graduated from. The little tidbit of information that they're not giving everyone about those who have made it. And you tell me if I'm wrong, because you went to the same school. The information that I got was, look at the Trisha Yearwoods and the Brad Paisleys, our friend Melinda Doolittle, Josh Turner. They didn't necessarily go to the School of Music to get a voice degree. They got music business degrees. Am I right in that?
Oh, yeah. Yes. So I think there's a good bit of folks that studied music business, and they maybe took some music classes,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's very common.
Yeah, and I actually advise my students in that way now, because they didn't tell me that while I was there. They give us the music business classes, yes, but they didn't tell us, how important the business of it was. And I, just didn't know at the time. And now I do know. And I tell my students that.
Definitely. And I tell you, my experience, when I went there, I did the emphasis. I majored in music and in voice, but I did the emphasis in music business. And I chose, because I knew I was writing songs, I chose to focus on music publishing. And because of that, and I went and made sure to do internships. So I started some connections in publishing, and I learned so much more because of those internships. And then I went on to even work in music business. I worked for publishers. I worked for Universal Music in London for a little while. I've worked on projects here in New York in music business. It was something that I chose to make sure to always be involved in, both of those. And I definitely, one of the things that I really tell people, and has been key for me, is to not just do one thing. I mean, we're always going to have strengths, but even down to just the fact of singing and writing music. Now more and more everybody, sings. Most folks sing, and then a lot of folks write as well. But, not even just that. I mean, I think as much as you can kind of diversify, if you can, I think it's great to be, have some good proficiency on some instrument, to be able to play some guitar, play some keys. If you, you know, can do that. I mean, that makes you that much more marketable as, you know, like when people do tours and play out, if they've got somebody that can play guitar and sing background vocals, then that's, you know, you have an edge over somebody that doesn't really sing and they can only play the guitar, you know.
Correct. Yeah. More things that we could go so much more in depth about.
Yes.
There's so much. Why do we only have 30 minutes? Oh, you guys that are out there listening right now, we could literally go on forever.
Oh, yeah.
But we want you to be able to have the time to implement some of these things that we've been talking about. So we're not going to keep you for much longer. So, Michael, one of the questions that I've been asking everybody that I've been speaking with on this series, I want you to answer this question in the best way that you can. When you are sitting on the porch, because you'll be sitting on a porch somewhere in Nashville, that's what I've decided. At age 97, what would you like to look back on your life and smile at having achieved?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think, and it's something I'm probably right in the middle of right now as far as like creating, you know, a project to put out. I think it's putting out great music that I believe in. Just being able to look back and know that the music, my own music that I create and put out, is kind of, you know, that's our art or our legacy or whatever you want to call it. Just that I can look back and, you know, no, I did my thing. I put that out there, and I did the music that I believed in. That's my voice, and my voice as a creator. You know, it's such an amazing thing to be able to create something. You know, and put it out there in the world.
That.
And hey, you know, the internet or whatever it becomes, you know, in 3012, you know, it will be there in some digital spec. You know, my project or projects will be there somewhere, you know, along with everybody else's. And just to be able to leave your mark and you know, to take something that was just an idea that wasn't into existence and to be able to have created a song and to use your voice and express it, you know, to be able to leave that. It's a great thing.
That is an awesome thing. Well, we want people to be able to hear your voice right now and hear what you've created. So where can they go and follow up with you and keep up with your adventures in singing?
Yes, my website. I have a website for the my artist project, michaelinge.com, and my last name's INGE, so michaelinge.com. And then if anybody wants to check out what I do as a session singer, all kinds of different projects I sing on, that's ingeniusvocals.com. So those two places are the best spot. Yeah, and I'm on Facebook too. You can find me there on the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Awesome. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak with us and give us your musical wisdom.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I can't wait to talk with you again soon. And you guys out there listening, I can't wait until the next time that we meet again. But until we meet again, keep on singing. Go out there and be awesome.
Don't mean to be too forward, don't mean to move too fast, but I feel this thing between us, so now I have to ask, can we dance, can we freak, can we fall in love? I don't have the answer.
Oh, yes, that was some good stuff. Another solid interview. There is so much more we could discuss, but like I said, I want you to get out there and start applying. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope that you heard something useful in what we talked about. And if you walk away with nothing else, know that you are never too old to follow your dreams. And networking is nothing more than finding and becoming friends with the people in your neighborhood. These are the people in your neighborhood. Yeah, remember that the next time you're at a networking event. It's your music neighborhood. You can learn more about today's special guest by checking him out on his social media sites on Twitter at Michael Inge. You can learn more about today's special guest by checking them out on their social media sites. On Twitter, you can find at the Michael Inge. On Facebook, look for Michael Inge. Or on YouTube, you can search for Michael Inge. He keeps it pretty simple. Or if you're listening to this with the video, you can click on the direct link in the comments below. Once again, I'm your host, Ella Glasgow, and I've had a great time with you today. Stay on the lookout for our next interview at the start of next month. Until then, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Sing Out Loud Studios Orlando. And of course, if you're looking for more voice and performance training, check out the website at www.singoutloudstudios.com. Keep singing.
You started out at your pace, finish up at my place. Can't help but let you know you're